Welcome to Deep Folking, the only subsidiary project of GFY LLC, personally endorsed by Victor. I am Nathan, and we're going to be having a fun conversation today. And I am joined by Dan.
Hi, I'm Dan. Why are you leading this?
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Yeah, Victor asked that if I were going to step in, that I be in complete control, because he would not have it any other way for himself.
I fucking hate this.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
awesome.
no. And as well as Brett. Hello, Brett.
Hey guys, it's Brett.
I personally am so excited.
I can't wait for this to be done. It's going to be awesome.
This is the best day of my life.
Is Victor punishing us? Is that what's happening, Brett? Is that what
Like,
this is?
what did we do to deserve this?
I think that my deal included equity as well in GFY LLC. I'm pretty sure. I
Wait.
don't remember.
But that means he only has his own equity to pull from. Never mind. Yeah. Let him keep paying
Yeah,
you
this
an
is
equity.
great. Yeah,
This
you
is
know what?
good.
Let him.
Good.
Yeah, that's
Keep it up. You're
solid
doing
business
great.
decision, Victor, and also Nathan. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
You should ask for exactly 5% equity,
Yeah, if you could get 5% equity, that would be amazing.
and I think that's fair work for fair pay. You know,
I don't know how the equity breakdown works, so I don't get the joke.
just
That's okay.
ask
Don't worry about it. Ask for
I asked for
5.
100%,
of his
That's-
equity.
and I signed something that said 100%. And it had your signature on it, Brett.
Yeah, I just sign whatever. I don't care.
What are we talking about tonight? Not Victor.
Yes, I'm super excited. So I've been doing some research recently on Korea.
Why? Is there like another podcast you do or something?
Believe, believe it
You
or not, I
big
might be
StarCraft
talking.
fan.
Yes, that is an interest of mine in South Korea. You know, but I've been doing a lot of research on modern Korean history, but it led me down a rabbit hole into ancient Korean history and Korean religion. So I want to talk with you guys a little bit today about Korean shamanism. Now, first of all, what do you guys know about the religion in Korea today?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I assumed
I
that
assumed
they have Christianity.
You guys literally were both right there when you talked over each other. It is about 48% Buddhism, 48% Roman Catholic, and then some other percent something else.
Whoa. Hold on. Catholic?
Catholic?
Roman Catholic.
Really? That's fascinating.
Yes. Yep.
So
About-
wait, does the
almost
Pope
half.
go to Korea?
He would have to, I would imagine.
So we
It's
could-
such a
We could have a Korean Pope one day.
that would be the best.
I can't wait.
Now, that I believe is a study that was taken about South Korea, but most of what I'm going to talk with you guys about today was long before the 20th century evolution of the Korean Peninsula, long before North and South Korea were separate states.
To clarify, North Korea is best Korea. Is that correct?
Right. North
Okay,
Korea
thought
is
so.
best Korea. Yes.
Good.
So, yeah. So when Korean mythology started, now, firstly, Korean mythology is very, very similar to Greek mythology in the sense that it's a polytheistic, multiple deities, each representing something different in that culture. But it's very, very different in the sense that Greek mythology has a very sort of clear-cut pantheon of deities. You know Zeus is Zeus, you know he's in charge. The relationship between the Greek gods sort of stays the same. Their role sort of stays the same.
Sure, they represent something.
Right, exactly.
Right, they have a
Yeah.
pantheon they have a what is it called? Not pantheon. The word is domain that they
Yeah,
own.
yeah.
Okay. Yes.
And Korean deities are similar. They have a domain, but it can kind of change, or they can change names, or certain translations or versions of the myth might represent someone as one gender and the other another. Like, I think there's one story where someone is a person's brother, and in a whole other version of the story, they're their sister. Yeah. So it's a little less clear cut, but I want to tell you guys some quick Korean myths. That,
I'm very excited about this.
Yeah,
I know
I'm in.
nothing about Korea at all.
I knew nothing about this ahead of time.
And interestingly enough, so I've done research into like Shintoism in Japan, which has always been fascinating to me because it's a polytheistic religion that still exists, right? Where they believe in there's a god of agriculture, a god of traffic, a god of, travel, a god of family. Like,
There are plenty of polytheistic religions still, Dan, that not only
So sorry.
exist but have many adherents to them.
hold on. What I meant to say was commonly practiced and still
Sure.
considered the religion of a nation.
Okay, that's fair.
yeah.
I'll accept that.
And so
And
that's
something
why
you
this
could-
is fascinating, because this seems like it's kind of cut from the same cloth.
It is, and actually, even though it's not widely spread and still practiced, there is still Korean shamanism being practiced.
No shit.
These
They
stories
actually
are
have
still being.
shamans there.
They have shamans, and most of this practicing is unique to Jeju Island, Jeju Island, which is off the coast of South Korea. So specifically out on this island, a lot of these stories are told. A lot of this belief actually is still maintained, even though it is very closely related to ancient mythology and polytheistic religions and stuff like that. So.
Okay.
Really quick, the first two I want to tell you guys about are obvious creation and underworld myths, right? How did the world begin? Where do you go when you die? All right. So the Korean creation myth is actually there's like 4 different versions of how the world was created, and I'm going to butcher some names here. But the first creation myth and the most popular is Changsega is the name of the myth. And this is that in the beginning of everything, Mereyuk, who is the god of suffering and creation. So not only did he bring life into this world, he brought suffering into this world. Separated the
Oh, I
sky.
thought he was suffering.
He created suffering.
What a bad thing to make.
Yeah, and he didn't just. I'm sorry. There is still a god of evil and chaos. So suffering and evil and chaos, those are different things in this world. But Mereyuk didn't like that the sky and the earth were touching each other, so he separated them. So that's why the sky is above us and we are on the earth. And the sky has to be held up somehow, otherwise, how could it be up there?
Makes
Right.
sense. Yeah,
Obviously.
like
Right.
Atlas.
So the obvious explanation for that is that Mereyuk put 4 copper columns on each corner of the obviously square or rectangular world. And
Okay.
those
Okay, it's-
columns hold up the sky.
It's a flat, square Earth.
Must be.
That's
Fascinating.
That's so weird, because that seems like a combination of 2 things I'm familiar with, which is an ancient Chinese religion that believed in the gods of the 4 cardinal points, Suzaku, Seryu, Genbu, and Byakko. One was a tiger, one was a turtle snake, one was a phoenix, and one was a dragon. But it also reminds me of from the Dark Tower, which I do believe is from the religion. I can't remember, but it was the idea that there are 4 cardinal animals holding up the earth. Like there's a turtle, there's a bear, but like the idea that they hold on, we are on their
Yeah.
backs.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is columns specifically, which partially leads me to wonder, and I don't know this, but it partially leads me to wonder, did they observe something very tall or big in the distance, like a mountain or something, and sort of create that idea based on that? They thought they could observe those columns, or did they just ideate that idea out of nothing? I don't know where the idea of there must be 4 copper columns that hold up the sky above our heads.
Copper,
That-
it might have been that they saw a volcano.
That could also a lot of times in polytheistic religions you have like different tribes of gods that are from obviously like different time periods, and this might be a creation myth that is not from like the early like agrarian period
Yeah.
of this religion, but from whenever people started settling and actually doing like metalworking, and probably around the same time that agriculture started too.
Yeah,
So this to
true.
me reads as a more like advanced set of gods than maybe what the original like primal was. So you think about like a god of hunting. That's pretty
Yeah.
obviously like maybe before we had like permanent shelters.
Sure.
But then you get into
Oh, that's
like
true.
a god or a goddess of blacksmithing. That is indicative that, well, first of all, that it had to exist at that point in time in order for it to be be So that'd
Yeah,
be
it was
from a different time
pre-industrial
period.
revolution.
Right,
Right.
Yep.
But like maybe like, oh god, like iron, like Bronze Age, Iron Age time period, you know. So
Yeah.
that might be where that time period that this is coming from. I think
Yeah.
it's fascinating. I've never heard any creation myth involving like an actual object that wasn't like a totemic animal holding up the world. So that's
Right.
super
Yeah.
fascinating.
This is something that was like constructed, yeah. Well, and this story ends with obviously there must be evil in the world. So Siokga, who is basically the Loki, he's the god of mischief, comes down, wins a battle with Meruk. They battle, and he wins, and he gets to rule Earth, and he fills it with evil. And with deceit and lies.
he
yeah,
wins.
so apparently he wins. Yes, so apparently the leader of Earth at the time of creation was the bad guy.
Well, that's
There's-
just fascinating.
That's
There's
amazing.
There's another myth meant to describe or explain the creation of terrestrial, features, mountains, cliffs, that sort of thing. And it states that Grandmother Mago, who is sort of a celestial being, she created all of the geological features by combining rock, clay, and then her own feces and urine.
Oh, good.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, to be
So-
fair, feces at a certain point in history was not really as considered as gross as it is now. It was something like I think of the scene from John Adams where he picks up the fertilizer and like presses it against his face and like takes a big sniff and goes like, "Oh, it's good fertilizer," right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
It was probably a very useful thing at that point in time.
Yeah. And then the
Fascinating.
last creation myth I'll tell you is there's one where, and it's Dang Chilseong, apparently makes love to a woman named Lady Maiwa. Now, I don't know if these are both supposed to be gods already. This is just what their names are, but these are sort of mythical, people of legend. He makes love to her, gets her pregnant, and leaves. And he doesn't know he got her pregnant. So
Nice.
she has 2 kids, and she never tells him. So then later, those kids decide that they want to find their biological father because they are made fun of for not having a father in school. So they go out on a spiritual quest to find their birth father. They find him. He lives in the sky. They ascend to the sky with him. And then he gives them each half of the land to rule. And then they become the first rulers of Earth.
So a delinquent father passes out the rule of Earth to his bastards.
There is a...
That sounds like the story of Hercules, but told by an emperor who wanted like people to know like he was chosen for divine purposes. Don't question.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting like feature of humanity to claim like your right to rule being linked to divinity.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Fascinating.
Always happened.
There are a lot of gods having sex with other gods, and then those kids becoming rulers of certain areas of Korea. Specifically, so like the underworld myth. So we'll go into that really quickly. One of the myths of the underworld is a man and a woman have 7 daughters in a row, and they are pissed that they can't have a boy. So the 7th daughter, they're just so mad at her, they put all of that anger on her and they kick her out of the house. And so she has to go, she doesn't get to live with them anymore. Then one day they get sick. She travels to the underworld to find a cure, and while down there finds the cure, but in response has to take over the underworld. So she becomes the god leading people from Earth to death.
Someone's got to do it.
That's an interesting like underworld ruler story too. Like because it's like not it's not like it's like a punishment area. It's like, well, you went down
right.
there, now you can't come back type deal.
Well, there's a second one that's exactly that same way. A guy named Doryang travels to the underworld basically to capture the god of the underworld, Yomra, who's like Hades. So he travels down there to capture him because his 3 sons have died, and he wants to capture Yomra to get them back. But he apparently he gets help from the god of the kitchen and the god of doors, which are 2 different Korean gods. And I'm going to tell you
Hold
about
on,
some other
clarifying
stuff.
point. When we say God of Doors, do we mean of like the doors in your room or the
Yes.
musical group The Doors?
Not the god of
the
of
Lizard
Jim
King
Morrison.
himself.
I did research that. It is the
fucking
god of
love that.
actual doors. He is one
Yeah.
of the household gods that represents doors.
That's
So-
interesting. I fucking
then
love polytheist religions that have like
Yep.
such specific deities, and like the concept
Oh.
of the house gods is one that's very near and dear to my heart. I
Yeah.
love that shit.
Yeah, these get great.
Like it's like have you guys ever heard of Janus from Greek mythology? Or he might be Roman. I forget which one, but he's the
I think
two-faced
Roman.
god of
I've
entry.
heard of it, but I don't remember
Yeah.
it.
What
He's-
is he?
If you ever see it's actually what January is named after. But he's a god that has a face on the front and a face on the back because he's the god of entryway. And January is the entryway into the new year, looking back on the old and into the new. So that's kind of where the name comes from.
That's cool.
yeah.
Well, there are a lot of gods in here that have really specific things that they reside over. So kitchen and doors is one of them, and I'll tell you just a few more really quick. Last two myths I want to tell you guys about have to do with those. First is a myth about childhood disease. So
Okay.
Is there a
There
god of
are-
childhood disease?
no, but there are 53 smallpox gods.
Wow. That is.
Are they all
excessive.
on the quest for the cure, or like what?
No, they have the ability to give people smallpox to kill them.
How do
Oh,
they
they're-
feel about vaccines?
I doubt there were vaccines when this myth was created. So here's the quick story. 3 of the 53 smallpox gods, first of all, they all reside in China, but 3 of them want to move to Korea because it's so beautiful.
That's good fucking propaganda right there.
Yeah, that's really funny.
So they get help from I believe Munshin is the name, but it's essentially a goddess from Korea who guides them into Korea, but they get to a river that they're not allowed to cross. And there's a ferryman who said, "Hey, smallpox gods, I'll let you cross the river if you help me have sex with that goddess."
Nice.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
I get his
So,
motivation 100%.
Yeah. He tries to get them to pimp out the goddess. She apparently is just present for that conversation, hears it, beheads him, and then gives smallpox to his 7 children. And they all die. Yeah.
Hey, but you know what? He tried.
Yep. Yeah. Now
He had
that's
a-
the second
he had a
the
goal.
second story where 7 kids. I think I have 3 stories where there are 7 kids. For whatever reason, having 7 children is representative of I don't know.
That's a powerful number in a lot of cultures, so it
Yep.
makes sense to me that would be in a mythology story.
Yeah. And lastly, really quick, I'll tell you there are, again, a lot of gods. So there's the god of, obviously, death, but there's also the god of storage and wealth. There is the goddess of the birth of cattle.
Okay.
There is the goddess who kills babies. There is the spy king of the gods.
Fascinating.
Yep. Oh my gosh, yes. There's some obviously like a moon goddess, right?
Yeah, pretty
Goddess of
standard.
sexual relationships, goddess of beggars, sun god. But my favorite goddess in Korean shamanism has to be Shuksin, the goddess of the toilet.
Nice.
Like the modern toilet.
So it was more a toilet hole, a hole in the ground in an outhouse. And she was the goddess of that. Now, firstly, she's considered to be an evil or malevolent deity. So
Okay.
she was created when she had 2 parents who were goddesses, or a god and a goddess, and they banished her to the outhouse. I don't know why, but they didn't like her. So they banished her to the outhouse, and she was stuck in there. And all she could do, she apparently had 10-centimeter long hair, and she could only spend her time, she counted her hair. Each individual strand, she counted her hair from the outhouse to which she was banished. So this story has led to some strange behaviors in this belief system in Korea. Specifically, on the 6th of the month, people would not go to the bathroom. So on any number with a 6, so 6, 16, or 26th of the month, you could not go to the bathroom. The fear was that you would go in there and you would be knocked into the toilet hole.
but you wouldn't die. You would just
You would just be
have
shit covered.
So you wouldn't die, but you would get sick. And the way they described
sense.
this
Yeah.
getting sick, but the way they described it was you must have touched her hair. Her hair gets you sick. And obviously, I'm sure it was falling into a puddle of of fecal matter that was getting them sick.
Yeah, and you probably had an open cut somewhere that you weren't aware of.
Yep.
Oh god.
So
it gets
Koreans,
in your mouth and your nose.
if they did want to go to the bathroom, they had to knock 3 times on the outhouse to go into the bathroom, or else she would knock you into the hole. That was another thing. And then if a child falls in, there's a whole ceremony you have to do because the child will die unless you do this ceremony because it knocked her in. She apparently weaponized her hair, basically. And that's how they pictured she would be in the outhouse, she would knock you into the hole.
Can I say what my theory is?
Yes.
What really happened here? The birth of this goddess.
Yeah.
It was a household with 9 people, 2 parents, 7 kids, and
Yeah, obviously.
someone in that house. I'm going to go ahead and say the second oldest daughter. Basically was really getting sick and tired of the other 8 people in her house constantly coming in while she was in the bathroom and being like she had to wait in line all the time and she just wanted some me time. So she told everybody, "Hey, you got to knock 3 times or else, something bad's going to happen." That taught everybody to knock. Then everyone stopped going 3 days out of the month. Those were days where she was guaranteed some alone time and could take her
Right.
time, maybe read something. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then
Really
this-
shit
the-
unbothered.
This story also implies that she pushed her kid brother or sister into the hole and it died at one point for that to be part of the mythology. She killed one of her siblings in your version of the story.
What
yeah,
a
that's the
bad way
child
to
that
die.
fell in, and that's why she then warned everybody, like,
Right.
"Hey,
okay, it died.
be careful with kids in the bathroom. Maybe do a ceremony first."
So that is some of the crazy gods and
amazing.
goddesses that exist. I know it was pretty incredible researching this, and there's a lot of obviously polytheistic religions around the world that have very specific gods and goddesses like this. But if you out there, listeners, know of more crazy, weird gods or goddesses that exist in different cultures, feel free to tweet at us. Let us know about that so we can keep the conversation going online.
Yep, and
But
if you need to remember,
basically
that
what I
is
have.
at Go Folk Podcast. And also follow us on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review. Talk about your favorite gods. And if I can say one more thing that I think is
Please do.
important and is truly not only the view of Brett, myself, and Victor, and
Obviously.
Victor's
His
representative
proxy.
here, his proxy. With this kind of interesting polytheism out in the world, I don't know how the fuck anybody chooses Judeo-Christianity as their religion.
It's so boring. There's
Hey.
so much so many options.
Exactly. That's why I'll give you myself as an example.
I am here for initiating Neo-Olympianism. This is the new age belief in Greek gods and goddesses, and that is now my religion.
I'm
You're
not
now a
about the
Hellenic
Greek pantheon.
polytheist.
What do you say?
A Hellenic polytheist.
Yes. Yeah. What, you don't like the Pantheon?
That's not my pantheon. If I'm going to subscribe to one, it's the Norse pantheon.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That would make you an Asatruar, my friend.
Does that mean I have to become a white supremacist now?
Oh no, they just the squeakiest wheel gets the most attention, unfortunately, in that community.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Hopefully, we'll be doing real episodes soon, and Victor will stop punishing Brett and I. And if you're listening, Victor, give Nathan more equity.
Yeah.
It's a really good decision.
Yeah, I found out my 100% was just 100% of 5%. So I don't know if I like that.
All right, that's an interesting development.
Yeah. Well, hey, Brett, let's have an A-team meeting.
Yeah,
real quick
I
In
agree.
the closet.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
All right,
Happy
everybody, and remember, go heck yourself.
Yeah, you fuckface.